Prime Minister says Kiwi forces could help train Iraqi troops to fight the Islamic State. In a rare security speech in Wellington yesterday, John Key ruled out sending troops into combat roles in Iraq. For more on this, we're joined now by international relations expert Professor Robert Patman in Dunedin. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Michael.
Now, many would see this as quite a moderate approach by the Prime Minister. Would you go along with that?
Yes, I think it's quite cautious, particularly in relation to what allies like Australia and Canada have done, both of whom have spent their special forces and also given a much bigger military commitment to the anti-ISIS campaign. But it's a multifaceted approach. We're dispatching 10 military planners to Iraq to assess their needs in terms of training. So we're interested in providing the provision of military training, but we've also taken a number of other measures, including extending surveillance here and increasing funding for our domestic intelligence agency, the SIS. And in addition, in his speech yesterday, Mr. Key referred to the need to take long-term measures such as diplomatic initiatives to address things such as the political problems associated with the Assad regime, and also looking at trying to restart the Palestinian peace process.
In terms of the number of people going to Iraq, though, could you say it's the bare minimum that the Prime Minister's decided on to give the impression at least we're providing some sort of assistance?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's the bare minimum. I think what's happened recently in Canada and also Australia, where you had ISIS-related incidents, has made a deep impression on the government, and I think they want to preempt that possibility here, and quite rightly so. But it's interesting if you look at some of the measures that have been taken in terms of extending the surveillance powers. The SIS can now observe potential suspects for 48 hours without a warrant if need be, which is quite an extension of powers, and there may be some concerns about that. But I think most people take the view the extended powers of the intelligence services and their increased funding is fine, providing those extra resources are actually targeting terrorist suspects as opposed to be used for more general surveillance.
That watch list of, what is it, up to 80 people, did that figure surprise you at all?
Yes, it did. A number of analysts have made the point it was surprisingly high, and it certainly surprised representatives of the Islamic community in New Zealand, which is about 50,000 strong. And it's got to be stressed, most of whom are adamantly opposed to ISIS. But there was a spokesperson on this morning saying that many people in the Islamic community suspected there were 7 or 8 sympathisers, but nothing like 80.
Domestic security risk, do you think we now do have to beef up security at airports and big events like the World Cup cricket, that sort of thing?
I'm not sure, Michael, because we've got to get this into some sort of perspective, and I think there is a concern that we may be slightly overreacting. Recently, Mr. Key increased the threat level from very low to low, so it's still low. And clearly, we have to give time for some of these measures to work. If they work, then we may not have to go to the next step of really increasing security in sort of American style at our airports. But that can't be ruled out.
OK, thanks very much for your time there, Professor Robert Patman there from Otago University.